Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director, thanks for being here. A few months ago, DOJ's Office of Legal Counsel took up the question of what happens to prisoners released into home confinement. I'd like to return to that if we could. The opinion there concluded that since some inmates may have substantial time to go before becoming eligible for home confinement under ordinary conditions, the Bureau would have to recall these prisoners to correctional facilities. I think we're talking about 4,000 inmates or more. Can you give us a sense of what specific monitoring measures are being used to ensure that inmates in home confinement during the pandemic are complying with all of the applicable guidelines?
Yes, Senator. As you stated, currently there's about 4,500 inmates on home confinement specific to the CARES Act. What that simply means that under the current statute, that's 4,500 people that normally wouldn't be out at this point in their incarceration. They're being monitored. 94% of them are monitored by contracts, non-law enforcement. We rely on contract individuals to monitor these. Most of them are done electronically or GPS. The other 4% the other 6% are monitored by the United States Probation, federal location monitoring.
And has the Bureau been successfully able to track all 4,500? I mean, you haven't lost track of any inmates during this time?
Well, Senator, we've returned 150 to custody. 21 of that 150 were specifically for, 26 were for escape, for them not being where they were supposed to be. We found them. We brought them back to custody as would be expected.
Very good. What steps is the Bureau taking to prepare for the return of all of these inmates to their respective correctional facilities?
Well, the attention we've gotten on that because of the opinion you stated in November, I believe that the Department of Justice put that out. We have always, it's part of our mission to prepare for that. The statute currently is written, as I mentioned earlier, home confinement was not intended for long-term placement. There's actually about 2,400 that have a release date over a year. There's a small number over 5 years. It's about 310. Okay, those specifically we would have to address because we wouldn't be in compliance with the statute. So either the statute needs to change or we need to make exceptions. The good thing about that right now is that we have time because the president extended the national emergency. So we're still covered under the CARES Act. Our concern, the BOP's concern over this is simply that we're following the law, Senator. It's not an opinion of who should be out or not. We follow the criteria. We do that fairly. We put them out. We're concerned with making sure that we're actually applying the law as written.
What challenges, if any, do you anticipate in returning these prisoners to custody at the correctional facilities?
Well, it isn't necessarily a challenge, Senator, because we have the ample bed space. We have over 11,000 beds available at our minimum security camps where most of those would go. If they've been in the community, they certainly could function at a minimum security camp. I think more so is that if someone's out there and they're being successful and they're following the rules and they've shown that they can do that, then we certainly want to work towards the whole point of this is that they're going back to society at some point. We also respect the fact, though, that these sentences were imposed by the criminal justice system and a court of law, and we respect that. That's why we get so much scrutiny about how we do this. Well, we simply respect the criminal justice system, and we have a responsibility to make sure that if a judge imposed a sentence, that sentence is served, but we're working within our authorities.
Very good. Let me shift topics. Mother Jones Magazine reported in 2018 that up to 72% of prison technology services, which includes tablets and video visitations, are dominated by just two companies. Those companies are GTL and Securus. That's overall, that's nationwide in the whole prison system. Do you know what that breakdown is for the federal prison system?
No, Senator, off my head, I do not.
Can you look into that and get back to me with what it is? And I'm wondering how much communication costs charged by these two companies to prisons and prisoners have increased over the last decade. Do you have a sense of that?
I don't know the specific number for those companies, Senator. I'll give you an example, though. The CARES Act called for free phone calls for inmates. They're free to the inmate, but they're not free to us. We've spent well over $100 million providing video services and free phone calls, which wasn't included in the budget. So it is a lot of money, but we also believe that that's the right thing to do because we've restricted visitation somewhat. So we try to balance it out, but that's the only number off my head. Specific companies, I don't know.
Well, here's what I'm driving at. I'm concerned that there's one or two technology companies who are benefiting disproportionately from this market. And in particular, there's also the practice of these same companies introducing special lockdown tablets into prisons, charging inmates by the minute, I believe, to read material that's in the public domain. All of the profit goes to the tech companies. And again, this is public domain material. That seems to me like a bit of a problem. And why should these companies, just a couple of them, be profiting from public domain material due to their monopolies in this market? So I'll follow up with you about that for the record, if I could. Thank you for being here today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Hawley, I want to clarify something because there was a